At any one time there are 360 students here and nearly 100 different nationalities. They all come from every corner of the globe. Probably one of the most successful seafaring boats in history is the rigid hull inflatable boat, and not many people know that it was actually invented here by a group of students and staff all the way back in the 1960s to come up with a very simple solution to a problem which was about keeping safe in big seas. There's always been boats in construction here. Some of them are for training, some of them are for search and rescue, some of them are for experimentation and fun. And so we try to kind of really hold on to that, and we take the students out to sea as often as we can so they know what it feels like and they know how it can change really, really quickly. They come back here, we talk about that relationship between the hull shape and how it performs in the sea. So, you know, they don't have that background knowledge, so they'll come up with something really interesting and crazy. It will sound like, you know.
I mean, I feel like a rib is a strange idea anyway.
Totally. It's like
what is a rib?
Yeah, what is a rib? A rigid hull inflatable boat. I mean,
because people say, oh, is it an inflatable? And you're like, well, yeah.
Kind of. You know, here's the problem. We've got an inflatable boat. Its hull sticks to the surface of the water because it's flat. And as soon as it's rough, it's just a really unpleasant experience and really dangerous. So the school here opened in 1962, and they were sailing already within the first year of its opening. They had to have safety boats out there, and so the safety boats were just sort of your bog standard inflatable, probably made by Avon or by Zodiac or something like that, and they're perfectly good boats, but not when it's rough. How can we solve it? And the headmaster at the time, Admiral Desmond Hoare, was from the Royal Navy Engineers. And he just worked with the students and challenged them to come up with ideas. It was built by young students that didn't have a background in maritime architecture or naval design or anything like that. They saw a problem, they could see how rough it was out in the Bristol Channel and how difficult it was to handle boats out there, and they used their experience to come up with the design solutions. The first thing they did was all right, let's make it a rigid hull, let's make the bottom not stick to the surface, let's make it so that it's rigid. They just said, well, boats are V-shaped, so if we just make this a V, and they just refined it and refined it and refined it, and it just went on and on, and it's just evolved from there. And actually the whole shape of ribs hasn't changed that much.
Right.
So this boat, you know, which is maybe 5 years old, 4 years old, you know, if you look at its whole shape, it's not that different from the little Naomi that is built in 1967. Yeah.
So this is the oldest rib in the world.
So this is Naomi, the oldest rigid hull inflatable boat in the world, built in 1967. Her hull shape is pretty much unchanged in rib that we see every day now. Egyptian mahogany plywood, which you can't get anymore. When they were doing this thing, in the middle of it, they didn't go, hang on, we've just created this incredible invention which is going to transform rescue boats around the world. So they never really kept any of the examples of them. And they gave this one to Barry Sailing Club. And they had a big clear out, and they were like, oh, maybe this belongs to the college. And they contacted the college. We were looking at it, and it kind of suddenly occurred to us what it could be.
So this is one of the early prototypes.
Yeah, we did a bit of digging around in the archives in the college, and we found photographs of it on the swimming pool going through its capsize drills. And then it was like, okay, this was built roughly 1967. We asked some of the students who were around at that time, and then we did it up.
And it looked like it was running pretty well on the water today.
It's absolutely by far and away almost my favourite boat to drive. So we took a mould from Naomi, and then we built Harm 1, which is in Japan, and we built this one at the same time. Much like Naomi, but it's a little more capable, and it can deal with a bit bigger seas, and you can have more crew. And we're called Atlantic Pacific as we started here in Atlantic College, but our first project was on the Pacific Ocean. And initially that's all we were going to do, was send a boat to Japan and start a lifeboat service there, but the whole project started to gather momentum, and then we were like, oh, we could be building more of these. The lifeboat in a box solution, which is a 40-foot shipping container, which has the lifeboat, a small workshop and a changing room in it, that's Atlantic Pacific. Yeah, so this is the workshop where we currently build the prototypes, and all the boat repairs are done down here. But this boat here is called the Hahn Evolution, which is a prototype for a new type of lifeboat which will fit in our lifeboat in a box that can then be deployed anywhere around the world where there's a lack of provision of a lifeboat.